Hello everybody, it's Mr. K, your security specialist. I'm going to be reading Chapter 8, A Happy Ending. I'm not sure about this, Jack's mom sighed. A puppy? And a puppy who's had a hard time and isn't very reliable. That's exactly what I said I didn't want. Maddie had called her mom and asked her to come by the rescue on her way home from work. Now, Mom and Susan and Maddie and Jack were all sitting in the visitor's room with Daisy. Jack had Daisy on his lap, and she was half asleep, curled snugly against his school sweater. It was already covered in white hair, but he didn't mind. He'd get them off with tape if Mom was worried, but he loved that Daisy had left a mark on him. It felt like he belonged to her. Susan nodded seriously. I know exactly what you mean, but actually she's settling down amazingly well. She was very young when we got her. And yes, she'd been abandoned, and she was very withdrawn and nervous. But that's changed over the last few weeks. And I have to tell you, that's mostly because of Jack. She smiled at him, and Jack grinned back at her shyly. He still wasn't used to people saying such nice things about him. He's worked so hard. He's too young to be an official volunteer at the rescue like Maddie. But I'm really hoping he'll keep coming to help, even when you have your own dog at home, Jack. Jack nodded eagerly. My friend Amara wants to keep coming here too, he told Susan. We wondered, do you think you could make it an official thing, us reading to the dogs? They all like it, and we thought maybe we could send a message to the schools around here asking for more volunteers. So there's someone reading to the dogs after school every day. Or some schools might walk children to the rescue during a lunch break. Wow, Susan blinked, looking surprised. We could definitely think about it. It would mean more people coming to the rescue, Maddie pointed out. We're always trying to think of ways to get more people in to see the dogs and cats. Jack nodded. There were so many dogs who had been at the rescue for a long time. They were desperate for loving homes. He ran one of Daisy's soft ears through his fingers, and she snuffled sleepily. It would help with the children's reading too, he added. Schools would like that. I got a lot better just from reading out loud to Daisy and the others. Susan and Mom were nodding as if they agreed, and Jack ducked his head to hide his proud grin. He was persuading them. That all sounds great, Jack's mom said slowly, but I'm still worried about us adopting Daisy. How are we going to cope with a puppy? It's tricky, Susan admitted. We usually say that someone needs to be home most of the time to make sure young dogs aren't lonely. I can pop home from school if I have a free period, Maddie pointed out. Most days I do. And you said you could come home at lunchtime, Mom. She'd get a lot of little walks. Jack and I could take her out for a run before school. Amara asked her mom this afternoon, Jack said eagerly. She said she doesn't mind coming over to check on Daisy sometimes too. Daisy's so good, Mom. Just look at her. He edged closer to his mom on the couch, and the puppy opened one eye lazily and yawned. Do you want to pet her? He asked. Mom reached out one hand and ran it gently down Daisy's back. She's very soft, she told Jack, smiling. Hello, sweetheart, she added as Daisy wriggled around and licked the back of her hand. You're very cute, aren't you? And I can see how much she loves you both. Maybe it would be all right. Then she gave a surprised laugh as Daisy wobbled upright and stomped over onto her lap instead. The little white dog slumped down again with a huge yawn and seemed to go back to sleep. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Mom rubbed Daisy's ears and looked up at Jack and Maddie. I think she might have decided for us. Daisy wriggled a little in Jack's arms, turning so she could gaze up at him. He looked afraid, and she could smell the worry rising off of him. She pressed her nose gently into the gap under his chin and felt him catch his breath in a half laugh. "Thanks," he whispered, rubbing his cheek against the top of her head. "This is really scary." Daisy felt him step forward, and then Amara held up a piece of paper in front of her nose. Daisy leaned out of Jack's arms to sniff it, and then she nibbled the bottom corner. The crowd of people in front of them laughed, and Daisy beat her tail against Jack's arm. She didn't know what was happening, but she liked the noise. Jack started to read out loud. "Thank you for coming to the fundraiser for Tailpine's Animal Rescue. Today we are launching a new program to help animals and children." Daisy sighed happily, resting her nose on his shoulder. "I started to read to my dog Daisy when she was brought to Tailpines after being abandoned. I didn't know the amazing effect that reading to dogs could have, not only on her, but on me, too. Please help us." "You did so well." Maddie hugged Jack, trying to not squash Daisy, and Daisy squirmed delightedly. I could hear people in the crowd saying how beautiful Daisy is. "I can't believe I read in front of all those people," Jack said. He was still feeling a little shaky. "I can't believe you did either. You were wonderful." Maddie rubbed Daisy's nose. "And so were you, little one. Susan says a lot of people are asking about making appointments to visit." Amara told them excitedly, pointing at the board behind Jack, which was plastered with big photos of the dogs at the rescue. "Someone wants to come and see Pug. She said she's always had pugs and he's really beautiful." "I better go and help write down some details," Maddie said, darting away, and Jack sat down on the edge of the little stage. Daisy wriggled out of his arms and started to sniff around their feet. The shopping center was full of intriguing smells. "How are you doing?" Amara asked, sitting next to him. "I was worried that you might run away just before it was time for your speech." "Me too," Jack shivered, "but it was okay. It sounded like I was talking to the crowd, but actually, I just read it to Daisy." Daisy heard her name and looked around. Then she jumped up next to him again, squeezing in between Jack and Amara and nosing lovingly at both of them. She sank down with her muzzle on Jack's knee and gazed up at him with huge dark eyes. "Do you want to go home?" Jack whispered to her. "Me too. It's okay, Daisy. We'll be home soon, I promise." Daisy thumped her tail lazily against Amara's legs and then wriggled farther up so that she was slumped half onto Jack's lap. She didn't mind where they went, as long as Jack came with her. That's the end of the book, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it.